Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're here live at the World Trade Center in Seattle. I'm here with Jim Makoso, founder of Lucid Oils. Jim is a cannabis extraction processing professional in the cannabis industry. In January 2015, he co-founded Lucid Lab Group, a cannabis extraction technology company based in Seattle. Jim's vision was to create a scientific approach to cannabis essential oil processing by utilizing customized capital equipment in combination with proven scientific processes. By taking a quality-centric approach, Jim has created a company culture known throughout the industry for quality in product and process. Prior to co-founding Lucid, Jim engaged Vuber Technologies as an angel investor in January of 2014. He joined the business management team, where he held the position of vice president responsible for strategic partnerships and business development until October of 2015. He remained on the board of directors until December of 2016, and by spearheading a business model focused on product development while maintaining a customer-first approach, Vuber has become a leading vaporizer company with strong partnerships that include manufacturers, cultivators, processors, and retailers throughout the U.S. Prior to his involvement in the cannabis industry, Jim was a finance professional in New York for 6 years. He holds an economics degree from Stony Brook University with a focus in business finance. Jim, thanks for being on board.
Thanks for having me.
So maybe the biggest initial barrier to entry for hemp and cannabis extraction is cost, which depends on a number of factors, including the preferred extraction method, volume, desired speed. And so what are the current assumptions around capital needs to build a viable extraction operation? I'm kind of seeing that CO2 is around anywhere from 40 to 400,000, and hydrocarbon is 35 to 200. Alcohol extractors are 60,000 if you want to make a THCO acetate, or a rosin press as low as $5,000. And so I'm wondering, how do businesses optimize capital investment for extraction businesses? Like if you're in an emerging market, what are the current assumptions around how much is it going to cost, and how do people optimize that?
That's a great question. So, my company, Lucid Oils, which is our consumer brand, but really our overarching company, Lucid Lab Group, half of our business is what we call process solutions. Where essentially we develop technology to create an extraction facility. And that goes from specific instruments to processes to the complete facility solution. So we're very familiar with what you're talking about. When it comes to determining a budget for, let's say, a extraction facility, there's really three questions that we ask, not only ourselves, but in the case where we're doing this service for another group, a partner, for instance. There's three real considerations. The first is, what is the regulatory framework that we're operating in? Reason why that's important is, let's say in the case of certain Canadian jurisdictions, hydrocarbon is not even an option. So they're forced to go with, let's say, what some would consider or deem a much safer approach, which is CO2 extraction. Whether it's safe or not, we'll let the engineers and the safety personnel duke it out. But the idea is, if you know the regulatory framework, that will at least give you some general direction of the direction you'll go, and that impacts budget. The other consideration that we look at is, what type of products are you trying to produce? Somebody who wants to create a holistic product that has a full spectrum extract is going to be different than somebody who wants to produce a high THC product, that's very repeatable from, say, state to state or country to country, but doesn't have any cannabis taste at all. That product that you're trying to produce is going to have a big impact on the equipment you need to produce it and the budget. And then the third consideration we look at is throughput. What I need for my friends, dinner party, the volume of oil to make infused olive oil and infused desserts and an infused meal is different than, say, a project we're working on in Colorado where we're going to be producing, hundreds of liters of oil every single day. So throughput is a big consideration. So when we take those three considerations, the regulatory framework, the types of products that we want to produce, and the throughput at which we need to operate at, that will determine the budget. So there is no one budget that'll get it done. But what I can say is, for those that want to do it at home, you just need some Everclear, some alcohol, or some ice water hash. To make ice water hash, you don't need any of that. You need water, ice, and a dryer, and you can produce hash. So Extract for production versus extract for home use are going to give you two different budgets. And then when it comes to extract for production, those that are doing something more boutique versus people who are doing really high throughput processing, is ultimately going to be much different budget. So I wouldn't say that there is a budget that will get you to the finish line. What I would say is if you're thinking about getting into extraction or processing in general, you need to consider those three things. And if you don't know what you're doing, I would suggest you strongly consider getting help.
Yeah, I would echo that. We were talking about offline, war stories about putting in $1 million and not being able to get a single gram out of it. So if you're thinking that you can, and I'm talking to you, Montana, if you think that you can spend $10,000 on a rosin press and compete against Canadians who have 10,000 plus acres, I don't think you're going to be around very long. So it's something to think about. We are going to unpack that a little bit more with yields and a couple of questions down the road. Want to find out about efficiency and so forth. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. I want to thank my guest, Jim Makoso with Lucid Oils. Check him out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.